Okay, we're live on our next edition of Limacon Growth Sessions on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube simultaneously. I'm very honored to have Greg here as our guest. Good morning, Greg.
Hey, good morning, Ivan. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure. So today we're going to speak about something very interesting. I know your brand, your app since quite a long time already. I'm using it in some different occasions, but it's something that I'm actually really interested in. So when we speak about communicating and finding the right people, not only to be your clients, but to be your partners or employees, it's very important to have on your disposal tools that can help you with assessing the right person. Everything about bringing value to a partnership or to a collaboration is really important today, and it depends actually on knowing the other person much more better, which actually your amazing tool is helping us salespeople and not only to achieve. But I would love to get this information from you, maybe just to get a short intro on your personal background and how you started Crystal and what it's all about today.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, thanks for having me. So excited to be live here. These are very fun topics. In the U.S., we had a holiday yesterday, so I'm back at work first thing in the morning. Very excited to be here
too,
with you.
Actually, yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. High level on me. I've always been super passionate about entrepreneurship and technology. I think I've started my first company when I was 14 years old, fixing computers and building websites. So always been really passionate about that kind of stuff. Stumbled into Crystal a bit by accident, as many of these kind of entrepreneurial journeys often go. My partner and I had started another company in Boston called Attend.com. It was software for event planners. It was our first venture-backed company. We had graduated from college only a couple of years earlier. And needless to say, we didn't really know what we were doing. We decently knew how to build okay software. We really didn't have a ton of experience dealing with people. And we kind of learned that the hard way as we went through. I know we have a limited time here, to make a long story decently short. We ended up in this crazy disagreement with our investors that resulted us. Yeah, I know it's less common than you, or more common than you'd think. And long story short, we ended up getting forced out of the company, technically fired from our own company about 2 years in. It was a wild journey. And as we were navigating some of those challenges, a management coach that we hired came in to kind of try to help us better understand our investors, better kind of mend things with them. And it was kind of crazy. He was able to, without ever meeting them, he was able to predict how they would respond to things, how they would communicate. And Drew, my partner, and I were just blown away by this. It's like, how the heck are they doing that? And it turns out they were using this personality framework called DISC. And it's a framework that's been around for quite a long time. A lot of professional organizations, both in sales and team building and hiring, use it. We just thought it was the coolest thing ever. We'd never seen it before. Unfortunately, it was too little too late. We still got canned. But we almost had a bit of a running joke afterwards on, could we build a robot version of our management coach? A piece of software that could identify someone's DISC personality type and kind of whisper in their ear as they're communicating with someone, how to communicate in a way that's going to resonate with their style, their personality, and ultimately build whether a stronger relationship, make a sale, hire the candidate, whatever it might be. So Crystal kind of was born out of a really intense personal pain that we had, and a fascination with this DISC personality framework. And I'll tell you, I mean, Ivan, as you've probably seen from just being in the sales world, kind of thinking about personality stuff, I mean, it can be so impactful when you understand somebody at a deeper level, especially with the amount of noise right now in the market, right? Like there are so many messages. It is so easy to get in touch, but so hard to break through. Exactly. So that's how Crystal came about. It's been a fun ride since.
It's lots of interesting businesses are actually born out of the very specific necessity of the people that are founding the businesses. And I do agree with you that nowadays with this overflowing and amazing huge volume of advertising, messaging, outreach, sales, like drip campaigns, etc. It's really hard to stand out from this whole, communication that is overflowing to you. Just give me some, use cases. What is actually the system doing? I'm like, I know disk test, and I made it so many times, and I'm still the influential type. So it's actually very nice assessment. And when I did it with Crystal, it was almost the same as I did it manually, and providing some information. So what are the use cases? Is it only about salespeople, or you can also apply it in other scenarios?
Yeah, so this is one of almost a blessing and curse of Crystal. It's so universally applicable. Sometimes it's hard for us to narrow down our target market, because we say it's professional communicators. So anybody that talks to people for a living. And if you think about it, that covers a big group. So that could be salespeople, recruiters, executives, business development, anybody in a team building like environment. So yeah, HR as well. Across those use cases, we see people generally wanting to better understand somebody. That could be a prospect, could be an employee, it could be a job candidate. And within Crystal, the way we have it structured is just kind of two ways to do it. For people that you know, and this could be a coworker, it could be a job candidate that's in the process of hiring, you'd invite them to take an assessment, and you could do that through Crystal.
Yeah.
They fill out about a 15-question DISC personality assessment, and it returns their type and lots of insights. And that's something that's kind of been around for a while.
Exactly.
DISC has technically been around at the foundational level for thousands of years. The kind of what it is today, more like 100 years. But that's been around for a while. The other side is around is predictions. So historically, if there was someone you didn't know, like a potential customer or prospect, you can't exactly say, "Hey, I'd love to sell to you better. Would you mind taking this personality test before our demo?" As great as that would be, right, we're less realistic. So I think where Crystal kind of captured a lot of people's excitement is around those predictions. So it can analyze text on a LinkedIn profile. This uses AI and machine learning. It matches words. I could go into that in more detail, but at the core, it's reading the text on that profile and predicting a DISC personality type, typically at about an 80% accuracy. So 4 out of 5 of those should come out really darn close to what you'd see in the test, just as you saw.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Can we?
it's fun.
We haven't actually discussed this in our pre-live session, but can we show something like if we can share the screen and you can show us something, or maybe on my profile to test it how it works. If you are in some way ready to do it, if you're not, then we can just talk about it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Ivan, my AirPods. The AirPods, they're hit and miss, and they just connected to my phone for like 30 seconds, and I missed the middle of what you were saying. I'm so sorry. Would you mind repeating that?
No worries. I just wanted to say that maybe we can show something to our audience. Like you can share the screen and just showcase some of the features that we have spoken now. And I know, and I'm actually quite using the LinkedIn add-on, which is very important. Exactly what you mentioned now, because we can give it to our coworkers and then assess them. But then if you want to engage with somebody that you don't know nothing of, then LinkedIn is actually a very nice place that you can start building this persona. And if you want to manually start creating a persona for every person that you are actually wanting to engage with, this will take a huge amount of time. But then with Crystal, you just use the add-on, and Crystal tells you, okay, this person is more likely to be, let's say, a dominant persona, and you need to do this and this with him.
Yep. And as you can see, my parents are visiting today. It looks like my mom popped through the door. Right, that's the fun of a live stream.
Of course. So there is no problem. So we had a lot of sessions. Yeah.
Right, and that's the beauty of work from home. You get to see the real life. So yes, I would be happy to quickly showcase what this looks like. Let me share my screen here.
Yeah, great.
Okay, Evan, you tell me if we're having. Okay.
I'm just adding this. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So we've got my colleague Neil here. I'm our head of customer success at Crystal. So, and I'll keep this really high level, but in a nutshell, when Crystal, at least the predictions part, and we do have people using both in different cases. So I wouldn't want to I think historically people get really excited about the predictions. I wouldn't want to over focus on them. This is definitely a component, and the assessments are also very widely used too. But to showcase the predictions, it works as a Chrome extension. We install a Chrome extension onto LinkedIn. It adds this little button. And when we click it, what Crystal's doing is it's scanning the text on this LinkedIn profile, job titles, descriptions. It isn't going kind of behind the scenes and looking at other things on the internet. It's just the text loaded on this page. And for anybody that's kind of a little more technical in the room or kind of curious how this actually works, when you take a personality test, typically, like if you did it on Crystal, I don't know if you took yours on Crystal, you're selecting between sets of words, saying which word is most like you and which word is least like you.
Exactly.
And you got to now, and you're really thinking intentionally about each of those questions and each of those words. What Crystal's doing here is it's scanning all the words and it's saying, okay, Ivan used goal-oriented in his description. So that phrase kind of correlates to a certain personality type. Now, just because Ivan used that one phrase doesn't mean he's definitely going to be that personality type. But if we have a big set of words, right, lots of phrases like that, it combined gives us the clues we need to predict personality. So in this case, we'll pull up Neil, and he's coming out maybe a similar type to you, actually, a DI or an initiator in Crystal, right? Dynamic, visionary, spontaneous. This is Neil in a nutshell. And you'll see it shows him here on the personality map. Kind of gives us some an overview, tends to be outgoing and decisive, likes to shape new ideas. So we always talk about it's really important to almost think of DISC as a new language. And when you think of it as a new language, it's you become fluent in it. So me, for example, I have learned about DISC. I've been using it so much now. All I need to do is see, Neil's a DI. And in my head, everything's firing on what I need to do. I don't even need to read much more content here. I just know, okay, he's a DI. I'm going to come in fast paced. I'm going to be energized. I'm not going to get too frustrated if he, skips around from topic to topic. I'm not going to try to stick to a agenda because that's going to drive him nuts. Right? I've learned that and that's really the goal for anyone using this, is to become so comfortable in DISC that you see and know exactly what to do. However, even before that, there is lots of insight, and I'd almost describe this sidebar as like a generated how-to manual for how to interact with Neil that generated instantly. So, one of the most popular types of content is these sales stages content. So I can tell Crystal what stage. Let's say I'm in the prospecting stage, and they'll give me some really specific guidance based on both my personality, because I took the assessment, and Neil's personality. It'll give me guidance on how to interact with him, how to prospect and kind of get his interest, booking a meeting, addressing pain points with him. It's really powerful. And especially for a salesperson in a more robust kind of high stakes sales process. This is just the kind of reading. It takes a few extra minutes and it goes a long way.
Wow. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
What comes actually next, or what is? Let's just discuss it, because we have like a normal sales process comes with I think this is, let's say, the prospecting phase. Now we find you as a target contact from let's say for our services. Then we use here Crystal for helping us in the prospecting phase. What we do next? So we start typing some message or trying to engage with Neil based on what Crystal has advised us, or what?
Yeah, that's exactly the idea. So it depends on what the interaction is. So Crystal will give you actual email templates, whether it's for like scheduling a meeting, making a cold sales pitch, following up, discussing pricing. We can copy and paste these templates and adjust them for our own use case. We can get we call these quick tips. So some really specific, let's say I want to call Neil to make a sales pitch. It'll give me some really tactical, here's some things to do, like, send him a visual aid to follow along with on the phone, or like try, give him a high level summary rather than a really giant kind of detailed email. Right. Versus like with Neil, don't get really lost into the details and the weeds because he's probably not going to have the patience for it. So yeah, there's a lot of tactical stuff here throughout the sales process, from prospecting, discovery, moving it into pipeline, negotiation, etc. Discussing money, discussing costs. So gives example phrases to say. I mean, it's like a treasure chest of these ideas. It certainly takes, I think, the most diligent sales reps that really kind of go in and use it to its most potential. And for those, it really does become like a secret weapon, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. So what would you say here? And I think it's interesting because I see the value of the software and the platform itself for people becoming better in what they do. So it's not only about helping a salesperson predict or know the personality of the other person, but also to be able to write better or to communicate better based on this personality. Because the disc itself as a test, it's actually saying, I don't want to communicate with the other. I don't need to communicate with the other person the way I think I need to communicate, but on the way he wants to be communicated with him. So that's the idea of the personality test, and this is very important. We're from time to time in our team, of course, we're conducting per disc test and other ones just to see it, because what I've saw is there is a change in the results if you're doing this from, let's say, 6 months or so, because people are changing. They're generally the same, but then let's say in this current situation, you are no longer only influencer, but you're also like a person that you now currently you want to be more focused, more precise, not so chaotic as previously. And actually what the disc states and this personality can help you on LinkedIn communication is the current state of mind of this person, because he's typing some stuff, he's writing some content, and now you can see, okay, this person at this point of time is like personality Hicks, and then I need to communicate, or maybe it will be good to communicate with him. So on the one hand, we are going very, very personal, which is in our world, and I know, guys, that you are also a HubSpot client and you're using HubSpot, and think of all the tools that are actually giving us the opportunity to scale when we automate. This is the one scary thing that lots of people are actually seeing when we talk about solutions like HubSpot. They say, okay, now we're going to automate, and lots of people are going to receive from my end some unpersonal messaging, and that's horrible. And or, oh, HubSpot is tracking your behavior on our website, and this is also something very horrible. And now we see here somebody will contact me based on some AI tool that predicts my personality. This is also scary. And I don't know if you're seeing this kind of objections a lot, but I think lots of people are just having the opposite view of this, quite positive, actually, from my perspective, software tools. And what do you say about that? Because I have something to say, but I just want your opinion on that as well.
Yeah, for sure. So we certainly see it. I think that's not limited to Crystal or personality in general. It's as you said, privacy, the European GDPR law kind of sent everything into a new perspective there. The way we like to think of it is ultimately people have control over what content they put online. So yes. Crystal is analyzing publicly available text on a LinkedIn profile that people have put out there and made available. You could think of Crystal really no more than a very, very, very smart person that can look at a LinkedIn profile and read it, and in their brain process, oh, that person seems like a blank. That's what, personality-wise. Yeah. That's what Crystal's doing, just at more powerfully. But certainly we're always cautious on if making sure that, like for example, everybody who uses Crystal, I kind of, we don't, when you look up somebody in LinkedIn, if they change their LinkedIn profile and then I look them up, I'll get a different result. So it really is based on the current text loaded on that page. But yeah, no doubt about it. Certainly a kind of across tech, both B2B and B2C, people are thinking in more in terms of, certain people are thinking more in terms of privacy now. And it's certainly something that companies like Crystal and any others need to be aware of and manage.
I'm always saying like that. So in today's world, we as people that are actually believing in our what is a good salesperson? A good salesperson is the one that actually believes that his product or service will be useful for the opposite side. It's nothing more than that. So I think when you're trying to actively engage with more potential buyers, you are motivated and driven by your beliefs, not only by I need to make some money or so, but you need to be convinced that your software, your service, your product actually helps the other side. So when I am approaching somebody with that notion, I'm always honest. So and I just ask you here if there is any kind of situation that you use this. So I would love to test it. So if I will now test it actually after our talk. I will find a prospect, a potential contact in LinkedIn, let's say a second connection or so. And then I will say to him, hi, Greg, I just use a very nice AI tool who predicts personality. And based on that, you're this and this type of personality. And I need to approach you like this and this. Do you agree with me? Are you the same person or not? So I think this will be something very interesting, because then people are actually, valuing honesty in sales approach, I think.
Yeah, we see definitely plenty of people use that opening, and it tends to work. And it's all about kind of how you frame it. And certainly you are trying to make a sale. You're trying to accomplish your goal. But why wouldn't most people want to be treated and talked to in a way that most resonates for them, that they like? You started to, Ivan, allude to this a little bit earlier in one of the comments you made around, you don't want to treat people the way you like, because that's what works for you. We want to treat people the way they like, because that's what works for them. And I think the people that are, for lack of a better term, the best people are ones that adjust their style and think about, okay, I'm with X person. How can I make them feel really good and really comfortable, and not just do what I like and repeat it with everybody? Because that's just not going to win people over. So we like to call it communicating with empathy. Seeing things from other people's perspectives, standing in their shoes, and thinking about how they would want this interaction to go.
Wow, amazing! Yeah, I'm always saying that actually, a good sales process or approach needs to have one thing in mind, and that's engaging in a meaningful conversation. So if you're at that point of time reaching a meaningful conversation with the opposite side, so it's actually a success, because there is, at the end of the day, it's not only about closing a deal, it's about building a meaningful relationship. Because LinkedIn, and like everybody is separated with the 6 degrees of separations or so, but then if you are leaving a person with a good notion, with a good impression of your communication with him, then he's more likely, although he doesn't need your services at the moment, to recommend you, or just to give you a short, good, positive word to a coworker or a friend or a colleague or something like that, that actually will result in a potential deal. So I love such tools like Crystal, because they're able to give you the opportunity to focus on this meaningful conversation and to adjust your approach based on the other personality, not yours, not your current needs, or I need to close 10 deals today, or I will be today the fearless sales guy who will be pushing this and just giving some discounts or saying how amazing our company is or so. So you need to be able to adjust to every different personality. And this is in some way exhausting if you need to do this manually, because I've tried previously to do it. It's like when we speak about Crystal, I think it falls under the the area of account-based sales, because yes, we can, let's say, advertise on LinkedIn to 1,000 to 100,000 people, and then we can see the reaction of those people, and then we can segment based on tools like HubSpot lead generation, etc. We can say, okay, we have this 10 top leads that we want to communicate now or engage on a personal level, or 50 leads. And if I need to go over every LinkedIn profile of these 50 people and start doing notes and thinking, okay, this person is, let's say, more dominant, he will be not likely to receive my sales message on the first step, he will be more likely to receive my sales proposal on the second message, it will take a huge amount of time. So actually this tool helps me as a salesperson, and also helps the other side to receive more valuable information from me. I don't know if I described this in some.
No, I think you said it well, and it ultimately makes a interaction more beneficial for everybody. You are more likely to make the sale, and the prospect is more likely to enjoy the process and interact with someone that they like. It's kind of like when there's sometimes we meet people, and I don't know if this is a cultural term, but we say we click with them. It's just, I click with that person. I get along with them. And yeah, exactly. And DISC kind of gives us, especially in the professional sphere, gives us some language to explain why. Right? When you come in and you're with me, for example, who's a DC in DISC, so both kind of dominant and very detail oriented and calculating and analytical. If you come in and you're fast paced and you have all your homework done, all your detail down, and like you're ready to go, I'm gonna get energized by that, and I'm just gonna think, oh, I like this guy. I don't know why, but something about him I just like. That and that's the idea. Now I leave with a much more positive experience, and you're more likely to accomplish whatever you set out to be. And that could just be building a stronger relationship with me, so we work better together, exactly. Which would be certainly a worthy accomplishment.
Yeah. So when we speak about working better together, let's just talk a little about hiring people with Crystal. Yeah. So what is the process there? What is actually beneficial in that point? Yeah, of course, it's pretty normal to say, again, we are just evaluating the personality, but it's not only how we can now approach people, it's also about, do we actually want this personality in our team at the moment, or what type of personality I need to fill out my team so that, let's say, it performs better or so.
Yeah. It's a very, very common use case. So the way it works in Crystal is the idea that when we're first hiring a role, we have all the stakeholders involved in the hiring decision. So the hiring manager, the coworkers, they take we call it a job fit survey. And the idea is to kind of scope out what are the most important behaviors that we're looking for in this role. And based on that, and based on analyzing the job description, Crystal will come up with an ideal personality type that you're likely looking for. Now, you could be hiring a software engineer.
This job fit survey, is it on your platform?
Correct.
Okay, great.
It's a feature at our platform that the stakeholders involved in the hiring decision fill out.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. So we end up, between that and analyzing the text in the job description, come up with a type that it seems like most people are looking for. Now, importantly, Crystal's not saying you should only hire that type. But what it's saying is, the behaviors that you're looking for in this role, for example, let's say we're hiring a customer support person who needs to be kind of very methodical and supportive and patient. Those are kind of certain behaviors. And what we've learned from personalities is that based on your natural style, there are certain behaviors that energize you and certain behaviors that drain you. And if your job consists of all energizing behaviors, you're much more likely to feel good at work, be productive, and have a long tenure. If your job consists of lots of behaviors that drain you, it doesn't mean you can't do the job. It doesn't mean you won't be good at the job. But it does mean you'll be really tired from doing the job. and eventually probably won't want to do that job anymore. Right?
Yeah.
If you put me in that customer support job, where my whole job was being patient, listening, I could do it. I'm not saying I'm not capable, but I'm, following specific instructions. It eventually would drive me nuts because that's just not how I'm wired. So the idea is that by understanding personality in the hiring process, we can better understand that sooner, so we don't put somebody into a job that's going to drain their energy. And in the minimum, Crystal gives the hiring team lots of questions to ask based around the person's personality, to better understand why they might be interested in a job that doesn't necessarily align with their natural styles. And maybe they've adapted accordingly. There's a reason they are. But it gives us the good questions to ask. So that's Crystal hiring at a very high level.
Well, it's amazing actually, because now I just got the full picture. I found Crystal as a powerful LinkedIn add-on. So it's something that's highlights and just stands out from everything else. But I think now what you're telling me, it's amazing, because in the hiring process, what we see, and normally we tend to, is actually we are creating some requirements that are more likely to are related to our professional technical skills, and the soft skills, actually the core of the person, they're not so easy evaluatable, if I can say that. So you're not asking questions before before you're getting this person on a job interview, and you don't know actually what type of person you are needing now. And this is very important. I would actually use it because we're now also scaling, and we're constantly in some hiring processes. So I think for us as a small team company, it's actually quite important to add the right personality to the team. It's not also important just to be a great professional, have some technical skills, but also to be the right personality.
That's right. And the right personality is very moldable based on your team and your role and who you're looking for. We always try to make sure we don't say not every salesperson is going to be a DI. There's going to be certain salespeople with certain prospects and certain sales processes that perform better based on personality. And sometimes it's important to have a diverse set of personalities because you have a diverse set of prospects potentially. And same for outside of sales, but general team building. Each of these personality types brings something different to the table. And when you're lacking one of them, you'll see that come out. If you have in DISC, for example, the S personality. If you have no S personalities at the table, which is often the case in maybe sales teams or sometimes leadership teams, things can get really aggressive. S personalities are very good at keeping everybody calm and steady. And when you lack that, you feel that pain because that S personality type brings some important value to the table. So it's really something to think about how you create that balance and also put the right people in the right seats where they're going to be most energized.
Yeah. So we're nearing to the end of our session, but I have something I think interesting to ask. So when we're doing this, like DISC assessment, we normally used to do this when, let's say, we have a bigger group of new hires coming, and then we set and say, okay, guys, now we're going to do the DISC assessment. But before everybody does the DISC assessment, actually, what we are doing is we're giving a brief overview of what every color means. Like the positive attributes, the negative attributes, and we are asking the people based only on this overview to evaluate themselves. What type of personalities are they? And they're just like saying, okay, I'm on the red type. And then they're doing the evaluation, and normally it turns out that they're not only the red type or not exactly the red type at all. And this is very interesting. And I think the same can be also happening with LinkedIn as a social media, that you're actually presenting your personality. And normally what people are thinking is that they're presenting themselves in one way, but actually in the eyes of the other people, they're fully different personalities. So it will be interesting to see if, let's say, I think myself as a dominant personality, but then Crystal shows me based on my LinkedIn assessment that I'm actually an influencer or something like that. This will be very interesting also to think.
Yeah, and we've seen it too. So there's something called social desirability bias, especially when you take the assessment. So particularly the I and the S personalities tend to sound more friendly, more nice. You sometimes people have a more desire to be those types. When of course, to be clear, they're all good. Each one has different pros and cons. We call them strengths and blind spots.
Yeah.
But what I have definitely found interesting when I see like a friend takes the assessment and I'm like, I don't know. And then I look at his LinkedIn. I'm like, yeah, see, that sounds more correct. So, while in general, the assessment is more accurate than a prediction, there have definitely been times where there is less bias in the prediction than the assessment.
Yeah.
Which could be funny. Definitely not always the case, but sometimes it is interesting when we see that.
Oh, great. Well, I think nowadays it's just more and more important to be more focused on the other personality and try to not only add employees to your team based on a good fit personality, but also to a client. It's actually important to know the client itself, because closing a client, especially in a service company like ours, is just the half of the journey. So when we start working with a client, we want to know actually what type of personality is he. Is he going to cause us trouble in that direction, or actually he would be more, like interesting in receiving this kind of service from us with this kind of attitude and so on. So this is actually quite important for after the sales, after the closing of a deal, actually to think of the long-term relationship with a person. Okay, so what holds the future for Crystal?
Yeah, oh gosh, there's so many places we could go. Right now we're iterating quite a bit on our team building and hiring products, especially as teams have gotten remote. As we think about the great resignation we're in right now, where people are just moving jobs like crazy, there is more of a need than ever to better understand the team you have, make sure that they are kind of in roles that energize them, working well with their manager. That kind of stuff is becoming, it was always important. It's becoming even more acutely important. And so we're iterating quite a bit on more tools, especially for people managers, to help them make their teams more successful. So I think you'll see a lot more of that coming out of Crystal throughout the rest of this year.
Oh, great. I think it's highly important. So we see it is in the same here also, not in Bulgaria, but in Europe, that lots of companies are now reinventing their, like team structure models, and they're constantly hiring people from not only other cities, but other countries. And this is, like it can go both ways. So it can be, of course, productive and very nice, because then you can have access to a huge, workforce capital. But then on the other hand, you need to be more precise, more accurate, more cautious in terms of finding the right people, exactly because not only the personality plays here, but also the cultural differences. So this needs to be also played on the hiring process.
Yep.
Well,
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I mentioned HubSpot. I just want to say I haven't seen any kind of integration stuff on your side, but is there anything on that end? So integrating HubSpot with Crystal or something like that?
Yeah, there actually is a beta HubSpot integration right now. It's in the HubSpot App Store. It's still a work in progress. It's kind of a V1 as we're gathering some data. But essentially the way it works is if you look somebody up on LinkedIn, like we just did for my colleague Neil, and then you pull up his contact record in HubSpot, it attempts to match them and then show you all those personality insights right in HubSpot. Plus, it creates some new contact record fields for personality type and puts that in, so you could sort your contacts or opportunities by personality type.
Amazing.
So yeah, wow. Still a work in progress. Lots to do to it.
Man.
But definitely, I encourage everybody to try out the V1.
I will. I will. Now I'm doing it as we speak. Just to ask you. So is Crystal going also to read the conversations from HubSpot, so that based on that also adds on the personality assessment, or it will be only from LinkedIn what he's reading?
It is. So I'm sorry. Can you repeat that question?
Yeah, so like in HubSpot, you have the whole profile history of communication, like emails, etc. So is he also going over this communication and add?
It isn't today. What we found is that emails are not the best predictor of personality type, the same as biographical text. So like a LinkedIn profile is really designed to describe the person, whereas we don't think about that in the same way when we're writing an email.
Yeah, so I fully agree with you. Now, as I asked this question, I totally agree that it's actually more of something that can really turn this into not so quite accurate assessment. But it will be great. It will be amazing because, as you know, we are using lots of personalization with LinkedIn based on buyer persona, based on some demographics or so. And then, of course, if we have this personality as a field in HubSpot, then we can also start segmenting and communicating with the people based on their personality from Crystal, which is amazing. Looking forward to see that in action. I will, of course, integrate it with our account. Okay, great. So thank you so much. I think we have touched on some very exciting stuff and useful. Our audience is based on people from, like backgrounds in marketing, sales, business owners. So I think it was quite insightful for them. Everybody needs to evaluate such tools because they're helping us actually communicate with the world better nowadays, when everything is distant, everything is remotely, and we just need to be more human. I think softwares as Crystal are actually helping us be more human than in other situations. So thanks a lot. Wish you all the best. Just keep us updated on everything that comes you in mind, on in the way, or new projects, new ventures. And I will also buy your book because I saw some great references from people that I love. So
thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Ivan. And thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in.
Bye. Bye, Greg.